I participated in the Zanzibar LIV in 2019.
I participated in the Israel LIV, which is focused on water issues and innovation systems.
This year I participated in the Madagascar LIV, which was focused on biodiversity.
I participated in the Thailand LIV, and the theme of the LIV was to explore what kind of role the Buddhism plays in Thai society.
I went on the Cuba LIV, and the theme was a society and economy in transition.
I participated in the Denmark and Estonia LIV, which was focused on entrepreneurship and action.
I went on the Bosnia and Herzegovina as well as Serbia LIV this year to former Yugoslavia. The theme was facing an uncomfortable past, which included the country's history of both ethnic conflict and then also the transition economically from a more socialist government to a more capitalist system.
I'm part of the LIV in Rapa Nui, and the theme of my LIV is sustainability, mainly focused on learning from Easter Island's collapse.
I participated in the Mongolia LIV, and the theme of our LIV was social impact from a changing environment.
At Wharton and Lauder, I've been focused on launching my own venture, so this LIV was particularly relevant to me.
This LIV really gave me a window into thinking about how to conduct business in a new culture and environment. We had a panel where we had both foreigners who were running businesses as well as locals talk about their experiences, and just gaining a deeper sense and understanding of the historical, the cultural, the social sort of underpinnings of the environment and how that affects your business was really helpful.
One of my goals at Lauder was to learn more about developing economies and to understand some of the challenges that they face in today's world. So the Madagascar LIV was a really great opportunity for me to better understand some of the challenges that developing countries face when they're looking for economic growth, but also balancing kind of the obligations that they have to preserve the natural environment.
One of my academic goals in applying to Lauder was to learn more about the Middle East and Africa. As an East Asia track focus and Mandarin speaker, I haven't had a ton of contact with that region, and the LIV was a perfect opportunity to visit the Middle East and understand Israel and its connection to the region.
I think that especially within the Lauder program, one of our academic and professional goals is to really learn how to learn about a new culture in your environment, and this was a huge crash course and a deep dive into how within 1 week you can dissect a culture and a country so deeply and so holistically in such little time. So I think that was a great learning opportunity, and you really get to know what are kind of the key people, stakeholders, and topics you need to study over a week to understand how a country works, how its people live, and how its economy is changing.
The entire experience is to help us become more effective leaders in a more globalized world, which is to say we're all going to be working in teams where our teammates are going to be from different cultures and in different backgrounds. So in the Cuba LIV, we were talking to so many different scholars, artists, entrepreneurs who all had a different experience growing up in Cuba and in a very different part of the world. Through this process, we all learned to be more culturally aware, but we also learned how to bond with people who come from different backgrounds than all of us.
On one hand, getting to talk with entrepreneurs and seeing what they're working on all over the world was super insightful and really motivating. And at a broader scale, kind of seeing at the societal and cultural level the differences between Denmark and Estonia and the effects they have on entrepreneurship was really insightful.
This LIV was very important to understanding the complexity of how different groups of people view the same events. And so we really got to learn that through talking to Bosnians in Sarajevo and talking to Serbs in Belgrade and understanding that both groups really saw one event or one fact as completely different things. And so being a leader, I think it's important to understand that nuance of how people view the world and how the past can shape people's view of the future as well.
I think in general, a lot of leadership development is exposure to leaders. And luckily through these LIVs, we had the chance to meet very, very senior stakeholders in the political sector, in the social sector, in the economic sector. And having the chance to meet these very senior stakeholders gives you firsthand experience with leaders. And I think that's the best part of the leadership learning. It's really seeing how they interact, how they deliver a speech, how they receive you, what they talk about, the challenges they face day to day as a leader in Mongolia, helps us better understand what being a leader, especially in an emerging market, really entails.
So many fun things that happened there. We went out together. We also, went to different temples, took a lot of pictures. I went to some, performance, and also there was like 1 hour long meditation that we did. But I think my highlight was that whenever we use, hello in Thai or thank you in Thai, the smile that we saw in say local guides or just local people or just street vendors, that was precious.
One of the biggest highlights from my LIV experience was visiting the Moai with a local guide who's one of the direct descendants from one of the original Rapa Nui families.
So the highlight of the Israel LIV for me was being able to visit a lot of the historical places that I'd read about in the Bible as a child, and also understand it in a modern context. The faculty lead for us is an excellent Lauder professor who's a very knowledgeable historian. So being able to walk around the actual sites while learning about the region from an incredible historian, I think really encapsulates the Lauder experience.
So we took this Soviet era train, so it was a 40 years old Soviet train for 2 nights, overnight, sleeping on a train. Just the idea of like 15 students sleeping in these Soviet trains, spending 12 hours playing cards in a little cabins, sharing cabins with other students. I think it was a really, really fun experience and a great bonding experience.
We spent a few days in a very remote fishing village in the southwest part of Madagascar. We learned from the local fishers, but also some of the NGOs that are there and the local government about how to balance everyone's interests in the community. And so we spent a day on the boats with the fishers, learning how they capture the fish, the octopus. It was really an incredible experience. So I think that was the highlight of my LIV.